Boston College continues to kill it on the recruiting trail, especially at this position.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, round one of the Beanpot goes to the Eagles as they take Northeastern to the Woodshed in an absolute beatdown in Boston. We're going to also look at the latest commitment. Boston College scores another commitment. We'll talk about who that is and what it means for the position that they're at and everything else moving forward in terms of recruiting. You're going to not want to miss a minute of today's episode. Is going to be action-packed. Now, on Monday, the worst kept secret committed to Boston College. That is 27 Mater Dei quarterback Furian Inferrara out of Mater Dei in California. Now, Mater Dei is the number one school in the country. Point blank. If you go to maxpreps.com, Mater Dei is 13-0. They were ranked number one. This is a football powerhouse school that Inferrara is coming from. This is a 6'3", class of 2027 quarterback. So he hasn't played yet because the current quarterback is off to Washington, who just committed there last year. And he is going to, what all looks like, it'll be his quarterback position heading into his junior year. In terms of offers, Pitt, Nebraska, Oregon State, USF. So he's got some decent offers for a kid that really hasn't played yet. Now, he's also got, some interest. He was at Oregon for a camp. Oregon is going to be very selective of who they offer, but they were showing showing a lot of interest in him. He also was getting interest from Georgia. So this is a kid, even if he hasn't really played, and he hasn't. You look at his stats, I think he threw for 133 total yards last year. He's got the physical tools that are making coaches take a second look and go, So it's a perfect fit for Boston College because a Mater Dei quarterback is not going to pick BC if he's running a national championship type program and has had a chance to be seen by camps and taking visits and things like that. So BC had to jump early, and that's a little risky, right? He hasn't really played. You may get a kid that doesn't work out, but Furian Inferrara, excuse me, get the name messed up. Gotta get my Italian names right here. I think the staff felt very confident that this is a kid that's going to develop into a Power 4 level quarterback, and so they moved early. If you're looking at who this is Jonathan DiBiaso again. Jonathan DiBiaso has been an ace recruiter. And I don't say I'm surprised. He's got great connections. This is a guy that connects super well with the kids. He was critical in Corin Berry, the quarterback from 26, Shaker Reisig, the quarterback in 25. Any local kid, just name him. Mark Antunez, Jackson Tucker, Dean Rooksnitis, even the work that they're doing with Marky Walbridge. That's all Coach DiBiaso, the quarterback's coach. He is becoming their MVP on the recruiting trail. And that's funny because I thought Ray Brown would always be their strongest recruiter. And no, this is no shot at Brown. He's an excellent recruiter too. But DiBiaso is raising his game. And for O'Brien, this is another connection that helps solidify their quarterback room, which we'll talk about in the second section. Furian Inferrara, he's in California, but he's a local kid. So they're bringing a local kid back. Inferrara is originally from Natick, Massachusetts, home of Doug Flutie. So he has his connections around here. And I think that's what makes this exciting. And you're looking at ratings yet. No ratings yet. He's a class 27 kid. Most unless you're an elite blue chipper that they've seen a ton of tape on, 247 isn't going to rate you yet. It just isn't going to happen. That's why a lot of the 26s still don't have, not a lot, but a chunk of them, like Mason Leak, we're still waiting for his rating. So he's not rated yet. But when you go into a powerhouse program like this, one that matches your philosophy, they went after St. Francis Academy for a while, but as you saw, that was a horror show. Other than Jude Bowery, it just seems like it, no, KB Price didn't go there. Other than Jude Bowery, it just never worked out. That's another powerhouse that they were dealing with, but that was under Jeff Halfley. To deal with a powerhouse program like this, where academics are okay too, I think is a much better fit for BC. And so this is a school that had they've put a ton of NFL talent out there. Like maybe not the most like crazy names, but Bryce Young went there, Matt Leinart went there, Matt Barkley, Trent McDuffie, the star cornerback of who could be the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, Amon St. Brown, Amon Ross St. Brown of the Detroit Lions. Like you go up and down that list, JT Daniels. I know he flamed out, but he's a 5-star quarterback. So there's a lot of talent from this school. It's one of those programs where you get, especially if you're getting their starting quarterback. That's a big deal. This is a big deal for BC. And I'm totally okay that they're going in and trying to get him before he has really played much, because you hate to say it, but I trust Dibbs. I know he's done his evaluations. I believe they had him at camp. They've seen him throw. They've watched to see, decision making is such an important tool when you're getting your quarterback. How can he quickly read and get the ball out? It's almost more important than the physical gifts. But Dibbs has done that. And if it doesn't work, you hate to say it, but there's always the chance that they could always move on if they had to. But I don't think they're going to have to. I think this kid's going to end up being okay. I think it's going to be a good, not just okay. I think it's going to be a fun development to watch, because he could. I mean, think about this. You could in a year be talking about a quarterback that's committed to BC, that's rising up the recruiting ranks because he's leading Mater Dei to a national championship, or up there, to an undefeated season. And all these other schools are calling, but he's already made a great connection to BC. That could be cool. And Inferrara, even though he's been in California, and as I said, he's got local roots. He's been to Boston College twice. He was just here this weekend. He went out for dinner with his family, met with DiBiaso and the staff. They he came here for the Western Kentucky game, which as a quarterback probably wasn't the best game to watch, but he loved it. And so it's not like he's not committing without seeing the campus. He knows it. He's from the area. He's taken a couple of visits. This is a good one. And yes, it's 2 years away. I get it. But I feel like kids like this, those connections, the personal connections, and I feel like he is not just he's just not connected to the school. He really has a bond with the staff. That really does a great job of preventing decommitments. That is a protective factor. I think this commitment really hits that. So I'm excited. Not a lot to look at yet, but hey, next fall we'll all be watching his tape. In a moment, it's been less than a year for Bill O'Brien, and he's already flipped over the quarterback room. He's had 4 new quarterbacks. I'll explain how the room has changed and how the outlook in terms of recruiting has changed. I'll get into all that in just a moment. Looking for tickets to your next big event, whether it's a concert, a comedy show, or sports game, finding the right ticket at the right price can be a headache. But with Game Time Picks, it's never been easier. Let me tell you how it works. With Game Time Picks, the app does all the hard work for you. It curates the best deals so you don't have to waste time searching through endless ticket listings. Now, every year, I take my family to one BC home game. I find another staff member saying, "You guys are going. I'm going as a fan for this game." and I want to make sure I get my best tickets. And you know where I go? I don't go to the BC website. I go to Game Time. When I went to the Virginia game 2 years ago, it rained out, and I knew it was going to rain out. And I didn't want my little ones sitting in the rain. So I used their seat finder to make sure that I found tickets that were under an awning. I nailed it. My wife was happy. My kids were happy. We lasted the whole game. And you know what the best part is? With Game Time, you're covered by their lowest price guaranteed. If you find a better deal elsewhere, they'll refund 110% of the difference. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time with easy cancellation options if something comes up. Ready to make your next event even better? Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Guys, I'm telling you, this is the place to go. Terms apply. Again, that's code Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. This is good old Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black. Thank you all. I want to shout out all my everydayers. If you're out there and you hit that play button on my podcast every day, you guys know that we're the only daily Boston College podcast. You're getting the best, most up-to-date, accurate analysis anywhere. And I appreciate each and every everydayer out there, and I want to thank you. Additionally, when you're done with this episode, go check out Locked On ACC. They're talking about this week, they're going to be talking about Leonard Hamilton leaving. BC, the Grim Reaper, has cost another coach their job. That's 2 in a year. Mac Brown, after getting smoked by BC, he announced he was going to retire. And Leonard Hamilton, after blowing a very winnable game against BC basketball, he's gone. Who else can BC Grim Reaper this year? Maybe Autry, the coach at Syracuse. They're really struggling, but that's going to be talked about on Locked On ACC. Not the BC end, but they'll be talking about all these coaching changes on Locked On ACC, wherever you get your podcast. Now, we're talking about Furian Inferrara. And I really botched my opportunity on Twitter. If you follow me on AJ Black 247, I have a new bat signal. It's Polly Walnuts. I love this one, and I can hear it. It's what do you do? What do you hear? What do you say? That's my bat signal that there's a new commitment coming in. And with Furian, I should have used Furio from Sopranos, but I didn't. But he's committed, and this is now the fourth total commitment, recruiting and transfer, that Bill O'Brien has landed in 11 months, because he took over, I believe it was mid-March last year or late February, whatever it is. It hasn't been a full year yet. And he is already, this guy, we brought him in knowing he was going to change the quarterback room. And he has done that. The room is completely flipped in the span of 12 months. 4 new. So you landed Shaker Reisig in class of 2025. That was your new commitment. 2026, you have Corin Berry committed. This is going to be a tough one to hang on to because he is very, very, very good. You added Dylan Lonergan, transfer 4-star from Alabama, and now Furian Inferrara in class of 2027. This is crazy because last year, when you lost Thomas Castellanos when he left, and he's out there now saying that he didn't quit. The reports are false. Well, tell us what happened then, Thomas, because we don't know. He's gone. You had Grayson James and Jacoby Robinson, and that was it. You had some other guys that were just not going to play. No shot at these other kids, but they're not ready yet. Or we'll be playing like Peter Delaporta, see when they're going to play, Jack Brandon, guys like that. Those were your two. You had 2 guys left. You talk to any coaching staff, you want 4 or 5 quarterbacks in your quarterback room. They've got that now. Now you look ahead and you can see that you're going to have options every single year to challenge your incumbent and build up and grow your program. Every quarterback that you've brought in, whether it's Lonergan, whether it's Reisig, whether it's Berry or Inferrara, they all have, I think, a higher upside than anybody Jeff Hafley ever brought in. Bill O'Brien, came in as a coach who had worked with Tom Brady, who had worked with Bryce Young and Deshaun Watson, and even Matt McGloin made him Big Ten Player of the Year. So we had high expectations that this coach was going to make BC's quarterback room a attractive position to play and improve the level of recruits and commitments that come into that spot. O'Brien has done that in leaps and bounds in a year. And I got to shout out again. Jonathan DiBiaso has been absolutely critical. This is a young coach that is absolutely a major factor in helping with that quarterback room. It's his position, and he's killing it bringing all these kids in. Lonergan would probably be the one that O'Brien had the biggest connection to, but all these other kids, you ask them, Jonathan DiBiaso is the first name. And so this room has gone from, you know, again, I don't want to trash him, but like Peter Delaporta's never really worked out. Jacoby Robinson is a giant question mark. These are all the Halfley kids. Matt Reevy really wasn't I'm not going to put that on Halfley because he wasn't. I think he committed to. Maybe he did commit to Halfley, Matt Reevy, but he was late. I think. And then Jonathan Montague is not even a quarterback anymore. He's a wide receiver, and that seems like it's going to be a decent fit there. So you look at the difference between that group and the group that they're bringing in, and you see the pedigree of coaching and recruiting that they're bringing in. And they may not be done. I'm telling you that right now, folks. Like, you have those four, and they're still looking at a second quarterback in the class of 2026 for next year. So they have Berry, and they're very high on Femi Babalola from Ravenwood, Tennessee. Now, he was up here in the month of January for a visit. Dibbs and DiBiaso and O'Brien were down there at his high school to visit and see him throw. They're pushing hard on him. Now, he's a kid that has interest. I don't think they've offered yet, but he camped or visited NC State. There's a bunch of schools that are looking at him. He's gonna rise. He's got he's got a little bit of the Inferrara thing in that he's played some. I mean, he played more than Inferrara has. But he wasn't like the clear starter for Ravenwood, Tennessee last year. So he could, be a little bit under the radar as well. And, when you have Corin Berry, who's putting out video game numbers as your class of 2026, the crowning jewel of your class, you could take a risk like this. So there's a fifth quarterback that could be coming in. And if Babalola doesn't pan out, I'd expect that they would look at another one. They really want to build this quarterback room up. Competition is going to be good. You look at next year, I mean, every year under Bill O'Brien is going to be kind of similar to what we saw last year, and that is great. You're not going to have a starting quarterback that is sitting on his laurels that is just handed the quarterback position. Last year, you had Tommy Castellanos, who any fan who watched and just expected him to be the starter. You've always had just one quarterback at BC. Well, Grayson James comes in and unseats him. This year, James, after having a great end to his season last year, he's going to have to challenge and make sure that he holds on to that position as Dylan Lonergan from Alabama, who's got a little bit of experience, but hey, he's practiced against Alabama. I'm sure he's more ready than you expect, but he's going to challenge Grayson James. And then you just look at the next you project out for the next 3 or 4 years. There's going to be quarterback competition every single year. And that is good. Iron sharpens iron, folks. You're going to have good competition. You're going to get the best, and you have guys that could be really special. Before we head out on Inferrara, one last quick note was he had his photoshopped announcement graphic made, and it was made by Hayes Foster, who's great. He works for On3. And I have to say, in terms of the style of Photoshop, I'm not the biggest fan of these busy ones, but I really love this one. This is one of my favorite I've ever seen. It's not the classic style, but this is Furian right here. And I love that Hayes put him in there. If you're on YouTube, you can see it as well. There he is with the quarterback, and who's he got over one shoulder? It's Matt Ryan. On the other shoulder, it's Doug Flutie. A very cool little touch, I thought, for a quarterback that you're hoping could be the future of this program. So that wraps up our conversation on the new quarterback. 20 minutes of talking about this kid. I'm excited. I really think he's going to be something to watch for next year. And I'm here to tell you, on tomorrow's episode, there's going to be another commitment. There's going to be one that drops on Tuesday. I will talk all about this one. It's one that I think has a even better pedigree, and one you're going to be wanting to talk about a lot, because this is going to be really exciting. We'll get into that one tomorrow. In our final episode, you know what? I love a Beanpot win, but you know what I like even better? A Beanpot blowout. We'll talk about that in just a moment. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black. I want to shout out everyone who has made Boston College their first list, Locked On Boston College, your first listen every single day. And we've talked recruiting, we've talked basketball, we've had a lot of different discussions here. We had Mitch Wolf on yesterday to talk the Senior Bowl. It's been a busy week, and I love the Beanpot. The Beanpot is one of the best Boston College sporting events that you can go to. I've been to one in my life. I have to admit this, only one, and I saw Boston College lose to Northeastern. I was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. But tickets are expensive. I don't live near the garden anymore, so it's just tough, especially with kids. But I love watching it. And last night, BC hockey, they went out there and just took the Northeastern, who has been to the finals 6 straight years, took them to the woodshed, winning 8-2, and advancing to the finals to face Boston University. BC, they scored again within the first. How many games in a row have they scored in the first minute? Maybe it's only 2, because I know they scored in the first minute a couple days ago. But right off the bat, Teddy Stiga scores a goal, and they're off to the races. This team is an absolute train right now. Northeastern, however, even after they score a second goal with Connor Joyce scoring, Northeastern tries to claw back into this. They score a goal of their own. But BC wasn't having any of that. Eamon Powell, he notches his second to go up 3-1 after the first period. After that, BC outscores Northeastern 5-1 in the last couple periods, and they did all of this with only one goal from Ryan Leonard, which is kind of disappointing, right? I know a lot of folks were waiting for Dean Fortescue to score his first goal. He did not. He had a sorry, not Dean Fortescue. I got the Dean messed up. It's Dean Letourneau. A lot of the BC fans are like, they're in the boat of hoping he scores his first goal. He did not, which is kind of a bummer. But beating a team like Northeastern, who always seems to get up for these games, was great. BC hasn't won a Beanpot in forever. This is gonna be a fun one. BC beat BU 2 games just a couple weeks ago, both at home and away. Next Monday is going to be rocking at TD Garden. So I can't wait. An 8-2 win. Absolutely just controlling this game from the moment the puck dropped to the very end. This was this BC team is hitting their stride at exactly the right point. They're playing their best hockey. They're not making mistakes. You have Jacob Fowler playing incredibly well. Jacob Fowler played in this game, folks. I know folks were wondering because he missed Friday's game against UMass Lowell if he was going to play. He played, let up 2 goals, but when you score 8, who cares? And so it's another win. BC is now they're on an 8-game winning streak, and this was the most goals in a Beanpot game since an 8-4 win from BC in the 1990 consolation game. And hey, it feels like every year BC's been playing in the consolation game. No consolation game. We're playing for the Beanpot this year. This is awesome. So thank you, BC Hockey, because you've been a real joy to watch. Now, on tomorrow's show, as I said, there's going to be another commitment. This is a big one. And I know a lot of folks are waiting to hear about this. We'll have the full breakdown of who this is, why it's important. I'm going to tell you everything about this kid so that you know what BC's getting. We'll have that all here on Locked On BC. Thank you for listening. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Check out my work at Eagle Insider. Make sure you like and subscribe to our podcast. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you get notifications when we go live, when our shows drop. I'd love for each and every one of you to become one of our everydayers because we're getting more and more every day. Thank you all, and we'll see you again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.